A 9-year-old girl Lyd never met walked up to me in a Seoul nightclub and told me her uncle was being poisoned. My name is Kennedy Hayes. I'm a jazz singer from Detroit. I was supposed to fly home in 3 weeks. That was 6 weeks ago. Right now, my face is on international news. There are FBI agents looking for me in 2 countries. And the man I fell in love with just told me his real name is Ghost. I should have minded my business. This is why you should too.
The jazz club in Itaewon wasn't taking walk-ins, especially not on Friday nights, especially not when half of Seoul's underground showed up to hear the house band. But Kennedy Hayes had learned a long time ago that confidence and a good dress could get you past most doors, and tonight was no exception. She wasn't supposed to be in Seoul at all. She was supposed to be in Busan, opening for a major artist at a music festival. But the headliner got food poisoning, the festival imploded, and Kennedy found herself with 3 weeks in Korea and no plan. A musician friend said there was a club in Seoul that paid American jazz singers under the table, no questions asked. Kennedy needed money for her flight home. The math was simple. What wasn't simple was the 9-year-old girl sitting alone in a private booth, watching grown men conduct business like she was studying for an exam. Kennedy noticed her during her second set. She was singing Etta James. The room was dark and smoke-filled, and there in the corner was this kid. Perfect posture, hands folded on the table, eyes taking in everything with the focus of someone memorizing license plates. When Kennedy's set ended and she stepped off the small stage, the girl was suddenly standing right there. "You sing really well," the girl said in English, British accented, crisp. "But you changed the tempo in the bridge. Why?" Kennedy blinked. "Because the original was too slow for this room." "Smart." The girl paused. "I'm Minji. I'm not supposed to talk to performers, but my uncle is busy and I'm bored." Kennedy glanced toward the private booth. A man sat there, early 30s, sharp suit, the kind of stillness that meant power. 2 other men were talking at him, one with a briefcase, one with visible tattoos crawling up his neck, Yakuza style. The conversation looked tense. "That's your uncle?" "Yes. He owns this place, and 4 others, and the shipping company at the port, and some buildings in Gangnam." Minji said it casually, like reciting a grocery list. "And other things he doesn't tell me about, but I hear people talk about anyway." Kennedy's internal alarm bells started ringing. This wasn't just wealthy businessman territory. This was something else. "Got it. Well, Minji, I'm Kennedy. You probably should get back before he notices you're gone." "He won't notice. He never does anymore." Minji said it without emotion, just fact. "His girlfriend keeps him distracted." Something in the way she said girlfriend made Kennedy pause. A woman approached the booth just then, beautiful, early 20s, carrying 2 drinks. She set one in front of the man and slid into the seat beside him with practiced ease. The tattooed man stopped mid-sentence, looked at her with barely concealed hostility, then continued talking. "She's been with him for 7 months, Minji continued, watching them. "She brings him drinks from a bottle she keeps in her purse. Special whiskey, she says. He's been tired a lot since she started doing that. Forgetting things. Missing meetings. Last week he forgot he was supposed to meet with the Busan people and they were very angry." Kennedy's attention sharpened. "Minji? I saw her putting powder in it. Last week, in the back office when she thought no one was there." Minji looked up at Kennedy with eyes that were way too old. "But if I tell him, he'll say I'm making up stories because I don't like her. He said that last time." Every instinct Kennedy had learned growing up in Detroit told her to walk away. This was not her business. This was not her problem. This was the kind of situation that got people hurt. But this kid, standing here in a jazz club at 11 p.m. on a Friday, watching her uncle get poisoned, with nobody to tell because the one person who should listen wouldn't believe her. Kennedy crouched down to Minji's level. "What's your uncle's name?" "Choi Min-jun, but everyone calls him MJ." "And the girlfriend?" "Sua. She used to work here, waitress. Now she's always with him." Kennedy looked at the booth again. At MJ, rubbing his temple, looking exhausted. At Sua, touching his arm, whispering something. at the tattooed man watching them both with an expression Kennedy couldn't quite read. "You need to get back before they see you talking to me," Kennedy said quietly. "Will you help?" "I don't know what you think I can." "You're smart. You changed the tempo because the room needed it. That means you pay attention." Minji's voice dropped. "Please, I just need someone to see it too, so I know I'm not crazy." Before Kennedy could answer, Minji slipped away, back to a table near the booth, picking up a book like nothing had happened. Kennedy stood there for a long moment. Then she went to the bar and ordered water. The bartender, a guy in his 50s with careful eyes and a scar across his knuckles, slid it across. "You sang well tonight." "Thanks. Question: you know the owner well?" "Well enough. Why?" "He seemed different to you lately? Tired? Forgetful?" The bartender's expression went very still. "Why are you asking?" "Because a 9-year-old just told me his girlfriend's been drugging him and nobody believes her." Long silence. The bartender glanced around, then leaned in closer. "Listen to me very carefully. Choi Min-jun is not a man you want to get involved with. He's not a club owner who has side businesses. He's a boss who happens to own clubs. Do you understand the difference?" Kennedy's blood went cold. "I understand. The people who cross him disappear. The people who help him get protected, but they also get tied to things they can't walk away from." He straightened up. "You should leave Seoul. Tonight." "That's not an answer about whether you've noticed him being drugged." The bartender's jaw tightened. "I've noticed. We've all noticed. But nobody says anything because Sua is his woman, and you don't question a boss's woman. Not if you want to keep breathing." He moved away to serve someone else. Kennedy pulled out her phone and texted her friend Jasmine back in Detroit. "If I asked you to help me investigate a potential poisoning in a Korean nightclub owned by organized crime, what would you say?" Response came immediately. "I would say you've lost your entire mind, and I'm calling your mother. Before you do that, can you connect me with that chemist friend of yours? The one who owes you a favor?" Kennedy Hayes. "Jazz, do not call me that when you're about to do something that will get you killed." "Where are you right now?" "Itaewon, at a club called Velvet." "I'm Googling that name right now, and oh my God, Kennedy, that place is connected to the Choi organization. As in the actual Korean mafia. As in people who make the news when someone finds bodies in the Han River." "I know. Then why are you still there?" "Because a 9-year-old asked me for help." Kennedy looked at Minji, pretending to read her book, at MJ accepting another drink from Sua's hands, at the tattooed man who was now watching Kennedy with open curiosity. She finished her water and made a decision that would change everything. Kennedy came back the next night, and the night after that. The club manager, a stern woman named Mrs. Park, with a way of moving that suggested military training, offered her a regular spot, Fridays and Saturdays, 9 p.m. and 11 p.m. sets. Good money, under the table. Kennedy said yes. She told herself it was about the money. Really, she was watching. The third night, she started noticing things that confirmed what the bartender had said. The way certain men would come in through the back entrance and go straight upstairs without paying. The way conversations would stop when they passed. The way Mrs. Park would clear the second floor entirely when specific cars pulled up outside. One night, Kennedy was early for sound check when she heard shouting from upstairs. Then a crash. Then silence that was somehow worse than the noise. 10 minutes later, 2 men carried a third man out through the back. The third man wasn't moving. There was blood on the floor. Mrs. Park appeared with a mop and bucket like this was routine. Kennedy stood frozen by the stage. "You didn't see anything," Mrs. Park said without looking at her. "That's how you stay safe here. You sing, you get paid, you don't see anything." "What happened to him?" "He stole from Mr. Choi. Mr. Choi doesn't like thieves." Mrs. Park started mopping. "You seem smart. I hope you stay smart." That night, Kennedy sat in her tiny Goshiwon room, staring at her suitcase. She could pack, buy a ticket, be in Detroit in 24 hours. But then she thought about Minji, 9 years old, watching her uncle die slowly, with nobody to help. Kennedy unpacked her suitcase and called Jasmine. "I need that chemist contact." "What?" "Promise me you have an exit plan. Promise me you're not falling for this man. I barely know him, Jazz. That's not a promise. Kennedy looked out her window at Seoul's neon lights. I promise I'll be careful. Also not a promise, but I'll send you Dr. Park's info. The line went dead. Kennedy started paying closer attention to everything. Sua brought MJ drinks from her personal bottle every night Kennedy worked. Always the same ritual, always around 10 p.m., always that specific whiskey. By midnight, MJ always looked exhausted. Sometimes he'd excuse himself early, letting Sua handle the meetings. Kennedy noticed she was good at it, smooth, efficient, making decisions that should have been his. The fourth night, Kennedy was doing a sound check when MJ walked through. You're early, he said. Up close, he was younger than she'd thought. Handsome in that specific way Korean men sometimes are, all sharp angles and quiet intensity. But there were shadows under his eyes that makeup couldn't hide. And when he moved, she caught the outline of a shoulder holster under his jacket. I like to warm up properly, Kennedy said, trying to keep her voice steady. You have actual training. Berkeley, 3 years before the money ran out. He studied her for a moment. There was an intelligence in his eyes that hadn't been visible from across the room. The kind of intelligence that noticed everything. You're better than the last 3 singers we had. More authentic. I'll take that as a compliment. It is one. He paused. My niece mentioned you. Kennedy's heart rate picked up slightly. Minji? She's sharp. Too sharp sometimes. Something shifted in his expression. She doesn't usually talk to strangers. After her parents died, she stopped trusting people easily. How long ago? 3 years. Car accident on the Gyeongbu Expressway. They were coming back from Busan. His voice went flat. Someone cut the brake lines. We never found out who. Kennedy went cold. I'm so sorry. My brother handled the southern operations. Made some enemies. I've been trying to figure out which one killed him for 3 years. He looked at Kennedy directly. She said you actually listened when she talked to you. That's rare. Kids usually have something worth hearing. Most people don't see it that way. He glanced toward the booth where Minji sat reading. Especially in my world. Most people see her as leverage, a weakness. Before Kennedy could respond, Sua appeared, materializing at MJ's elbow with that practiced smile. Min-jun, you have a call with the Incheon contacts in 5 minutes, she said smoothly. Then to Kennedy, still smiling, you must be the new singer. I'm Sua. Kennedy. Beautiful voice. Very distinctive. The compliment somehow felt like a threat. Min-jun, we should go. They don't like to be kept waiting. I'm coming. MJ looked at Kennedy once more. Good luck with your set. He walked away. Sua's hand found the small of his back guiding him. Possessive. Kennedy watched them go, that uncomfortable feeling in her gut getting stronger. That night, after her second set, Minji appeared again. She didn't like you talking to him, Minji said without preamble. I noticed. She doesn't like anyone talking to him without her there. She controls everything now, who he sees, who he meets with, which calls he takes. Minji looked up at Kennedy. Last week, the Busan group came for a meeting. Uncle MJ forgot it was happening. They were very angry. One of them said if it happened again, there would be consequences. Kennedy crouched down. What kind of consequences? The kind that end with bodies in the river. Minji said it matter-of-factly, like she'd heard it enough times to become numb to it. Did you decide? About helping? Kennedy should have said no. Should have stayed out of it. I'm still thinking about it. Think faster, Minji said quietly. Uncle MJ is forgetting important things. When you forget things in his business, people die. Kennedy contacted Dr. Park at Seoul National University through Jasmine's connection. She told him she was worried about a friend, possibly being drugged. He agreed to run tests if she could get samples, no questions asked. The hard part was getting the samples. Minji helped. The kid left Kennedy notes and sheet music, which room Sua used, when the office was empty, where security cameras had blind spots. But while Kennedy was gathering evidence, something else was happening. MJ started coming to her sets, Not every night, but most nights. He'd sit in the back, in the shadows, just listening. Sometimes Suah was with him. Sometimes she wasn't. On the nights she wasn't, he looked more present, more himself. One Thursday night, Kennedy was singing Billie Holiday when she caught his eye across the room. He was alone, drink in hand. Not from Suah's bottle, Kennedy noted, just watching her with an expression she couldn't quite read. After her set, he was waiting backstage. "You changed the arrangement again," he said. "The original's too slow. Kills the energy. You do that a lot. Rearrange things to fit the space. It's about reading the room, giving people what they need, not what they expect." He smiled slightly. "Smart. That's the second time someone in your family has said that to me. Minji has good taste." He paused. "Walk with me?" Kennedy hesitated. "Where?" "Just upstairs, to my office. I want to show you something." Every instinct told her this was a bad idea, but she followed him anyway. His office was smaller than she'd expected. Books on the shelves. Actual books, worn from reading. A photo on the desk of him with a man who must have been his brother, both of them younger, smiling. Before everything. "Minji told me you're investigating Suah," he said, closing the door. Kennedy's blood went cold. "I don't know what—" "Don't." He held up a hand. "She told me. She said she asked you for help because I wouldn't listen to her." His jaw tightened. "You need to stop whatever you're doing. Suah can come off as controlling sometimes, but that's because of the kind of work we do. The danger. She's protective. MJ, she was Minji's mother's best friend. They were like sisters. She wouldn't hurt me or Minji." He paused, as if trying to convince himself. "But have you found anything so far?" Kennedy could have lied. Should have lied. "I'm still gathering evidence, but yeah, I think there might be something." He sat down heavily in his chair, rubbed his face. "I don't know what you've discovered, but Suah loves me. At least I think she does." "Do you love her?" Long pause. "I don't know anymore. I did once, or I thought I did. Now," he looked up at Kennedy, "now I'm not sure I know what love is supposed to feel like. Is there really no part of you that suspects her? Even a little?" His hands tightened on the armrests. "There are nights I lie awake wondering why I can't remember conversations we had the day before, why I forget meetings I scheduled myself, why I'm so tired all the time." He looked at her directly. "And there are mornings I wake up and she's there. And I think maybe I'm just paranoid. Maybe I'm losing it on my own." "You're not losing it." "How do you know?" "Because a 9-year-old girl sees—" "And kids don't have the luxury of lying to themselves." He was quiet for a long moment. Then, "Why are you doing this? You don't know me. You don't know Minji beyond a few conversations." "Because she's 9 years old and she's scared and nobody was listening to her." He looked at her for a long moment. "You're either very brave or very stupid." "Probably both." He almost smiled. Then, "You know what I do, what I really do. I have an idea. And you're still here. I'm still here." "Why?" Kennedy thought about that. "Because Minji asked me to be. And because—" She stopped. Because I don't think you're just what you do. I think you're also a man who takes care of his niece, who comes to piano recitals, who reads actual books." She gestured to the shelves. "Who listens to jazz alone because it helps him think." Something shifted in his expression, softened. "Most people can't see past the rest of it," he said quietly. "I'm not most people." "No," he agreed. "You're not." They looked at each other across the office. The moment stretched, then his phone buzzed. He glanced at it. "Suah's looking for me. You should go." "Yeah." But he didn't move. "Kennedy?" "Yeah." "Keep looking. If you find something real, something I can't deny, bring it to me." After he left, Kennedy sat in that office for a long moment. She was investigating a poisoning plot. She was gathering evidence against the girlfriend of a crime boss. She was putting herself in danger for a kid she barely knew. And somewhere in all of that, she'd started caring about whether Choi Min-jun lived or died. That was a problem. Kennedy accessed the back storage room during a Tuesday afternoon sound check. The room was dusty, unused, perfect for hiding things. Behind boxes of old inventory, she found Sua's stash, extra bottles of whiskey, powder in unmarked containers, and a burner phone. Kennedy's hands shook as she scrolled through the messages. Most were to someone saved as partner. The messages made her blood run cold. Timeline on track. He's declining faster now. Missed another Busan meeting. By March, he won't be able to run anything. That's when we move. The other bosses are getting suspicious. We need to accelerate. What about the shipment routes? Who takes those over? I handle everything. He signs what I put in front of him now. And the girl? She's a problem. Smart like her father was. Might need the same solution. Kennedy's stomach dropped at that last one. The same solution. Like Minji's parents. She photographed everything. Took samples of the powder and liquid using a plastic bag and napkin. Put everything back exactly as she'd found it. She sent the samples to Dr. Park that night. Meanwhile, she kept working, kept singing, kept watching MJ deteriorate. But she also started seeing more of what he actually did. One Friday night, a group of Chinese men in expensive suits arrived. Kennedy was on break when she saw MJ meet them upstairs. The conversation looked tense. One of the men was shouting. MJ remained perfectly calm, perfectly still. Then MJ said something quiet. Too quiet for Kennedy to hear. The shouting man went pale, nodded, bowed, left quickly. What just happened? Kennedy asked the bartender. Mr. Choi reminded him that the route through Incheon Port is his territory, not theirs, and that the last group who tried to push into his territory ended up feeding the fish in Busan Harbor. The bartender didn't look up from wiping glasses. Like I said, you don't want to be involved with this man. But Kennedy was already involved. Another night she overheard a conversation between two of MJ's men near the bar. Boss is slipping. Did you see him at the warehouse meeting? Couldn't remember the count on the shipment. Sua covered for him. She's covering for him a lot lately. You think she's making moves? I think someone's making moves. And when the other families notice Boss is weak, they're going to come for territory. Kennedy's blood ran cold. Dr. Park called 3 days later. Where did you get this? His voice was tight. Does it matter? It's a neurotoxin, gradual cognitive decline, memory loss, dependency. This is military grade, Kennedy, not something you get at a pharmacy. Whoever sourced this has serious connections. How long would someone need to be on this to show symptoms? 6 to 8 months for noticeable decline. A year for complete dependency. 2 years. He paused. 2 years would likely be fatal. Kennedy closed her eyes. And if they stopped taking it? Recovery is possible if caught early enough, but there would be permanent damage, memory issues, cognitive impairment. Another pause. Kennedy, you need to go to the police. Can't. Why not? Because the person being poisoned owns half the police in Seoul, and the person doing the poisoning might own the other half. Silence on his end. Then you need to get away from this. I can't. Not yet. She hung up and stared at the test results. 7 months. Sua had been with MJ for 7 months. Kennedy thought about the timeline in those texts. By March, he won't be able to run anything. It was February now. Kennedy sat with that information for a full day, wondering if she should just walk away, leave MJ to his fate. But something in her heart couldn't bear the thought of him dying. It was 2 a.m. The club had closed an hour ago. Kennedy was in the empty performance space, playing piano, trying to think. She heard footsteps behind her. MJ stood there, jacket off, looking exhausted. You're still here. Couldn't sleep. You? Same. He moved closer. Sua thinks I'm in a meeting. I have maybe 20 minutes before she notices I'm gone. Kennedy's chest tightened at that. At the fact that he had to sneak away from his own girlfriend. He sat down on the piano bench beside her, close enough that their shoulders touched. Play something, he said. What do you want to hear? Whatever you're thinking about. Kennedy started playing. Slow, melancholic. Something she'd been working on. That's new, he said. Yeah, still figuring it out. It's sad. I'm in a sad mood. Why? Kennedy's hand stilled on the keys. Someone I care about might be in trouble, but helping them might also put me in trouble. They sat in silence. Kennedy's hands found the keys again. Played. My brother used to play piano, MJ said suddenly. Not well, but he'd play when he was thinking. Drove my mother crazy. You miss him? Every day. His voice went rough. He wanted out. Did I tell you that? He wanted to take his family and disappear. Start over somewhere clean. What stopped him? Me. I told him it was too dangerous, that our enemies would follow, that we were safer together. He laughed bitterly. 3 days later he was dead, because staying was safer. Kennedy stopped playing, turned to look at him. It wasn't your fault, she said. Wasn't it? I'm the one who convinced him to stay. You were trying to protect him. I failed. Kennedy reached out, put her hand over his. You didn't know. He looked down at their hands, turned his palm up, laced his fingers through hers. You're dangerous, he said quietly. Me? You make me want things I can't have. Safety. Normal. A life where I'm not constantly looking over my shoulder. He looked at her. You make me forget what I am. What are you? A killer. A criminal. Someone who destroys everything he touches. I don't believe that. You should. But he didn't let go of her hand. They sat like that, connected, quiet, until he stood to leave, stopped at the door. Kennedy? Yeah? When your gig is over, you should leave Seoul, go home, forget you ever met me. Is that what you want? Long pause. No, but it's what's safe. He left. Kennedy sat at the piano, staring at where he'd been, her hand still warm from his. She was falling for him. Despite everything, despite knowing what he was, what he did, the danger surrounding him, she was falling, and there was no way to stop it. Kennedy shouldn't have followed them. She knew it was stupid. Dangerous. Exactly the kind of thing that got civilians killed. But she'd overheard MJ telling his driver about a warehouse meeting in Incheon, and something in her gut said she needed to see the full extent of what she was dealing with. She took a taxi to the address, stayed in the shadows across the street, watched. The warehouse was massive, industrial, the kind of place where screams wouldn't carry. MJ arrived in a black SUV, flanked by 4 men, all armed, all moving with the precision of military training. Sua was with him, of course, touching his arm, whispering something that made him nod. They went inside. Kennedy waited 20 minutes, then found a side entrance, a window high up, partially open. She'd been a decent climber in college. She pulled herself up, squeezed through, found herself on a catwalk overlooking the warehouse floor. Below, MJ stood in front of shipping containers. 20 men surrounded him. His men, Kennedy assumed, based on their positioning. Across from them stood another group, Russian, based on their conversation, also armed. The agreement was 40 kilos, the Russian leader said in accented English. You're short. The shipment was delayed at customs, MJ said. His voice was calm. Too calm. You'll get the full amount next week. That's not acceptable. We have buyers waiting. Then your buyers will wait. MJ's voice didn't rise, didn't change. Or you can find another supplier. See how that works out for you. The Russian took a step forward. His men tensed. MJ didn't move. His men did, though, hands going to weapons. Not drawing, just ready. You're making threats? The Russian asked. I'm stating facts. You want premium product, guaranteed routes, protection from Seoul PD and customs? You work with me, on my timeline. MJ paused. Or you work with the Yakuza. See how long that lasts. The standoff lasted 30 seconds. Then the Russian laughed. Loud, genuine. You have balls, Choi, even when you look like shit. He gestured to MJ's face, to the exhaustion there. You sick or something? Just tired, Sua interjected smoothly. He's been working too hard. Get some rest, boss man. We need you sharp. The Russian nodded. Next week, full shipment. Don't make me wait again. They left. MJ rubbed his temples, swayed slightly. Sua was there immediately, supporting him. Let's get you home. You need to rest. I have the meeting with... I'll handle it. You need sleep. MJ nodded. Let her guide him out. Kennedy watched from the catwalk, her heart pounding. She'd just witnessed a drug deal, a major one, 40 kilograms of something. Heroin, cocaine, she didn't know. She'd watched Choi Min-jun, the man whose niece she'd promised to help, negotiate international drug trafficking with Russian organized crime. She climbed back down, caught a taxi back to Itaewon, went to her tiny room, and sat on the floor. This was bigger than she'd thought. Darker than she'd imagined. MJ wasn't just a boss. He was a major player in international drug trafficking, and she'd promised to help him. Kennedy stared at her suitcase for a long time. She could pack. Leave tonight. Be in Detroit by tomorrow. Forget she ever met Choi Min-jun and his niece. But then she thought about Minji, 9 years old, about to lose the last family she had left. She thought about the way MJ's hand had felt in hers at the piano. She thought about the choice she was making, to save a drug trafficker, to become complicit in whatever happened next. This was the moment, the real moment, not the piano scene or the office conversation. This was where Kennedy Hayes had to decide who she was going to be. She pulled out her phone, called Jasmine. Jazz, I need you to tell me the truth about something. Okay. If you knew someone was dying, and you had evidence that could save them, but saving them meant they'd go back to doing terrible things, hurting people, destroying families, would you still save them? Long silence. Kennedy, what did you find? Just answer the question. I don't know, probably not. Probably I'd walk away. Pause. But you're not going to, are you? There's a 9-year-old girl who's going to be killed if I don't. Then you're not saving him. You're saving her. Is there a difference? Yeah, there is. One makes you complicit, the other makes you human. Kennedy hung up. She didn't pack her bag, but she didn't sleep either. Kennedy didn't go to the club for 2 days, didn't answer Minji's texts, sat in her room trying to reconcile what she'd seen. On the 3rd day, Minji showed up at her goshiwon. You're avoiding us, Minji said, standing in the doorway. How did you find me? Uncle MJ has people who find things. She walked in without being invited. Why are you hiding? Kennedy looked at this 9-year-old. Minji, do you know what your uncle does? For real? He runs businesses. What kind of businesses? Minji was quiet for a moment. Then, the kind my parents died trying to get out of. Kennedy's breath caught. My dad wanted to leave, Minji continued. He told my mom they should take me and go to America. Start over. Uncle MJ said it was too dangerous, that their enemies would follow. They fought about it. Her voice went very small. 3 days later, their car crashed. No brakes. Oh, honey. Uncle MJ says it was his enemies, that they killed my dad for wanting to leave. But sometimes I wonder if it was his enemies or just the life. If maybe the life itself is what killed them. Minji looked up at Kennedy. But he's still my uncle, and he's still dying, and I still need help. Minji, this is bigger than poisoning. Your uncle is involved in... I know what he's involved in. I've known since I was 6. Minji's eyes were dry but fierce. He's not a good man. But he's good to me. He took me in when he could have sent me away. He makes me go to school. He comes to my piano recitals. He reads to me before bed even when he's tired. Her voice cracked. He's the only family I have left. Kennedy closed her eyes. Please, Minji whispered. I know he's done bad things. I know he hurts people. But Sua is going to kill him, and when she does, I'll have nobody. And whoever takes over next might not let me live because I'm a liability. What? That's what I heard Uncle MJ's men saying. That if something happens to him, The other bosses will fight over territory, and loose ends get tied up. Minji looked at Kennedy. I'm a loose end. Kennedy pulled Minji into a hug, felt the little girl shaking against her. She thought about all the families destroyed by the drugs MJ moved, the addicts, the overdoses, the children who lost parents to what he sold. She thought about becoming part of that, enabling it. But she also thought about this child in her arms, who'd already lost so much, who was asking for one thing: help. Okay, Kennedy whispered. Okay, I'll help. I'll finish this. Promise? I promise. But as Minji left, Kennedy sat in her empty room and wondered what her promise had just cost her. Kennedy went to the club the next night, found MJ in his office, alone for once. Suah was supposedly meeting with suppliers. She knocked. He looked up, surprised to see her. Kennedy, I didn't know you were coming tonight. She closed the door, locked it, set the folder on his desk. What is this? He asked. Everything. Photos, text messages, lab results. 2 weeks of evidence that Suah is poisoning you. He went very still, then opened the folder. Kennedy watched his face. It stayed controlled through the photos of Suah's stash. His jaw tightened on the text messages. When he reached the lab results, his hands went white-knuckled on the paper. Who's the partner? He asked quietly, dangerously quiet. I don't know. I was hoping you'd recognize the number. He pulled out his phone, dialed, put it on speaker. It rang twice. Then a man's voice. You're calling from MJ's phone. What's wrong? MJ's expression went perfectly blank. Director Han. Kennedy's breath caught. Minjun? Is that you? Why are you? Where's Suah? MJ hung up, set the phone down very carefully. Director Han, he said quietly, is the head of the Seoul Metropolitan Police, Major Crimes Division. I pay him 3,000,001 monthly to look the other way on shipments, raids, investigations. Kennedy felt cold. He's Suah's partner. Not just her partner. He was at my brother's funeral. He helped me hunt for who killed him. MJ laughed, but there was no humor in it. Sharp, broken. He's been playing me for 3 years. The texts mention your brother, about giving Minji the same solution. MJ's head snapped up. Show me. She pulled out her phone, showed him the screenshot. And the girl? She's a problem. Smart like her father was. Might need the same solution. Something happened to MJ's face that made Kennedy instinctively step back. Not fear for herself, fear of what he was capable of. They killed my brother, he said, voice completely flat. They murdered him because he wanted out. And they've been poisoning me so they could take everything. And now they're planning to kill Minji. He pulled out his phone. Get everyone. I want them at the warehouse in 1 hour. Everyone. He hung up, made another call. I need a team on Minji. Right now. Armed. Nobody gets near her. Another call. Find Suah. I want her location in 10 minutes. He looked at Kennedy. You need to leave Seoul. Tonight. MJ, what I'm about to do, you can't be anywhere near it. If the police come, if this goes wrong, I need you gone. No connection to me. What about Minji? She's going with you. What? He pulled out his wallet, handed her a black credit card. There's a private airport in Gimpo. I'll have my driver take you. Get on a plane to anywhere. Stay there until I call you. MJ, I can't just... Please. He pulled her close, held both her hands. I can't do what needs to be done if I'm worried about her. I need to know she's safe, with someone I trust. You barely know me. I know enough. He pulled her closer. I know you're brave. I know you're smart. I know you spent 2 weeks investigating something that could have gotten you killed because a 9-year-old asked for help. That's not... I know I'm falling in love with you, he interrupted. I know that terrifies me. I know this timing is terrible, and I have no right to feel anything for you, but I do anyway. Kennedy's breath caught. MJ, I'm not asking you to feel the same. I need you to know, in case this goes wrong. In case I don't... She kissed him, sudden, impulsive, necessary. He froze for half a second. Then he was kissing her back, pulling her flush against him, one hand in her hair, the other on her waist. It wasn't gentle. It was desperate. Weeks of tension and fear and something neither of them had been willing to name. When they broke apart, both breathing hard, Kennedy said, "I feel the same. I shouldn't, but I do." He rested his forehead against hers. "This is a terrible idea. The worst. You should run, far away from me. I'm not going anywhere without you. Kennedy, I'll take Minji. I'll keep her safe. But you don't get to tell me to leave and then kiss me like that." She pulled back to look at him. "You come back. You handle this, and you come back to us. I'll try. Promise me." He kissed her again, softer this time. "I promise." The driver picked up Minji from school early. The girl already had a bag packed. Apparently MJ had called ahead. They drove to Gimpo in silence. At the private terminal, a man in a suit met them. "Mr. Choi has arranged a flight to Osaka. From there, you'll connect to wherever you'd like. He'll contact you when it's safe." "How long?" Kennedy asked. "Days, maybe weeks. Depends on how this plays out." They boarded the plane. Just as they were about to close the door, Kennedy's phone buzzed. A text from MJ. "Thank you. For everything. For Minji. For seeing what I missed. For not running when you should have." Kennedy typed back, "Don't die." His response came immediately. "I don't plan to. But if I do, take care of her." The plane door closed. Kennedy looked at Minji, who was staring out the window at Seoul disappearing below them. "He's going to kill them, isn't he?" Minji asked quietly. Kennedy didn't lie. "Yeah, I think he is." "Good." They flew in silence. Kennedy's phone buzzed again 3 hours later. A news alert. Breaking. Massive police raid on Seoul warehouse ends in shootout. Multiple casualties. Director Han of Major Crimes Division among the dead. Organized crime connection suspected. Kennedy's hands shook as she read the article. No mention of MJ by name. But the warehouse? She recognized the address. Another text from MJ. "It's done. Han is dead. Su-ah is gone. But there are complications." "What kind of complications?" "The kind where I can't come get you yet. Maybe not for a while." "What does that mean?" "It means I just started a war with the people Han was protecting. And they're coming for me." "MJ, stay hidden. Keep Minji safe. I'll find you when it's over." "When will it be over?" No response. Kennedy tried calling, straight to voicemail. She looked at Minji, who'd fallen asleep against the window. They landed in Osaka. Kennedy used MJ's card to book a hotel. A nice one. Safe. She tried calling again. Nothing. The news kept updating. Seoul police in chaos after Director Han's death. Internal Affairs investigating corruption allegations. 3 more bodies found in Incheon. Execution-style killings. Gang war suspected. Choi organization headquarters raided. Owner missing. That last one made Kennedy's heart stop. She called MJ 50 times. Nothing. She called the club. Mrs. Park answered. "Is he alive?" Kennedy asked. "I can't talk about this on the phone." "Is he alive?" Long pause. "Yes, but he's in hiding. The Russians are making moves. The Yakuza are making moves. Everyone thinks he's weak because of the Han situation. They're all coming for territory." "Where is he?" "I don't know. He changes locations every night. It's not safe. Tell him to call me." "I'll try." Mrs. Park hung up. Kennedy sat in that Osaka hotel room with a sleeping 9-year-old and a phone that wouldn't ring. 1 week passed, then 2. More bodies, more raids, more chaos. Still no call from MJ. Kennedy started to wonder if Mrs. Park had lied, if he was really dead and they just hadn't found the body yet. Then 3 weeks after they'd fled Seoul, Kennedy's phone rang at 3 a.m. Private number. She answered immediately. "Hello?" Silence. Then, "Kennedy." His voice sounded wrong, tired, strained, but alive. "Are you okay?" "I'm breathing. That counts for something." He paused. "How's Minji?" "She's okay. Worried about you constantly. We both are. Tell her I'm fine. Tell her I'll see her soon. Will you? Long pause. I don't know. This is messier than I thought. Han had deals with families all over Korea. Now everyone's fighting for his territories, and they all see me as weak. You're not weak. Doesn't matter what I am. Matters what they think I am. His voice dropped. Kennedy, I need to tell you something. What? If something happens to me, if they find me before I stabilize this, you need to take Minji and disappear. Use the card. Go to America. Change your names. Just vanish. Stop talking like that. Promise me. MJ, promise me you'll keep her safe. Kennedy's throat tightened. I promise. But nothing's going to happen to you. You're going to fix this and come get us, and gunshots in the background. Loud. Close. I have to go, MJ said quickly. MJ, I love you. The line went dead. Kennedy stared at her phone. Those 3 words, said clearly, finally, possibly for the last time. She tried calling back, straight to voicemail. She turned on the news. Breaking. Shooting reported in Gangnam. Multiple casualties. Choi organization suspected. Kennedy watched the coverage. Shaky footage from someone's phone. A building. Gunfire. Bodies being carried out. She couldn't tell if MJ was among them. Minji woke up, saw Kennedy's face. Is he dead? She asked. I don't know. They sat together in the dark, waiting for the phone to ring. It didn't. 3 days later, Kennedy was packing their bags. They needed to move again, stay ahead, when someone knocked on the hotel room door. She looked through the peephole. A woman stood there, Korean, expensive suit, alone. Who is it? Kennedy called. My name is Young Hai Wan. I work for Choi Min-jun. He sent me to get you. Kennedy's heart jumped. Is he alive? Open the door. Kennedy did. The woman walked in, looked around, saw Minji on the bed. Pack quickly, we're leaving in 10 minutes. Where are we going? Somewhere safe. Mr. Choi will meet you there. How do I know you're really working for him? The woman pulled out her phone, showed Kennedy a photo. MJ, alive, sitting in what looked like a safe house, holding today's newspaper. Bandaged, exhausted, but alive. Below the photo, a text. Trust Hae-won. She'll bring you to me. Kennedy's knees nearly gave out. He's okay. He's alive. Okay is debatable. Hae-won checked her watch. 9 minutes now. Move. They packed, followed Hae-won to a car, drove for 3 hours to a private airstrip, boarded another plane, flew for 90 minutes, landed somewhere Kennedy didn't recognize, another car, another 2 hours driving through mountains. Finally, they stopped at a compound, remote, heavily guarded. Hae-won led them inside, and there he was. MJ stood in the center of a sparse room, looking thinner, more tired, bandaged shoulder, bruised face, but alive. Minji ran to him. He caught her, held her tight, closed his eyes like he was afraid if he opened them, she'd be gone. Kennedy stayed back, giving them their moment. When Minji finally pulled away, MJ looked at Kennedy. You came, he said. You called. He crossed the room, pulled her close, held on like she was the only solid thing in his world. I'm sorry, he whispered into her hair. I'm so sorry for dragging you into this. I'm the one who chose to investigate. I'm the one who chose to help. You chose to help a 9-year-old. You didn't sign up for gang wars and shootouts. Kennedy pulled back to look at him. Really look at him. The bandage on his shoulder, the bruises, the exhaustion in his eyes. What happens now? She asked. MJ glanced at Minji, who was being shown to another room by Hae-won. When they were alone, he said, Now I rebuild. The people who came for me are handled. The territories are being redistributed. Some allied with me, some not. How long until it's safe? Months. Maybe longer. He looked at her directly. I can't ask you to wait. But I'm going to anyway because I'm selfish and I don't want to lose you. Kennedy thought about Detroit, about her apartment, her friends, her mother who was probably worried sick. She thought about the man standing in front of her. Dangerous, complicated, covered in wounds from a war she'd helped start. She thought about Minji, 9 years old, finally safe, needing stability. "I need to call my mom," Kennedy said. "Tell her I'm okay. Make up some story about an extended tour." "Okay? And I need to know, really know, are we safe here?" "As safe as possible. This compound is mine. Has been for years. Nobody knows about it except my closest people." He paused. "You can leave any time you want. I'll arrange transport, money, whatever you need. But if I stay, then you're in this all the way. The danger doesn't end. The complications don't stop. This is my life. This is what loving me means." Kennedy looked at him. At this man who'd just fought a war to stay alive, who'd said, "I love you," while bullets flew. "I'm terrified," she admitted. "Good. You should be. But I'm staying. For now. We'll figure out the rest as we go." He kissed her. Desperate. Grateful. Real. When they broke apart, he pressed his forehead to hers. "I don't deserve you," he whispered. "Probably not. But you're stuck with me anyway." From the other room, Minji's voice. "Are you two done being gross? Because I'm hungry." Kennedy laughed. MJ did too. For the first time in 3 weeks, Kennedy felt like maybe they'd be okay. But that night, as she lay in bed, her phone buzzed. A news alert. Prosecutor General announces investigation into Choi organization. International arrest warrants expected. Kennedy's blood went cold. She got up, found MJ in his office, showed him. He read it. His expression didn't change. "This was always coming," he said quietly. "Han was protecting me from this. Now he's gone." "What does this mean?" "It means they're coming for me legally now. Not just other families. The government. Can you fight it? I can try. But if they have enough evidence..." He didn't finish. His phone rang. He glanced at it. His expression went carefully blank. "What?" Kennedy asked. "It's a U.S. number," he answered. "Put it on speaker." "Yes?" "Is this Choi Min-jun?" A woman's voice. American. Professional. "Who is this?" "Special Agent Rebecca Morrison, FBI. I'm calling about Kennedy Hayes." Kennedy's blood went cold. "What about her?" MJ's voice was perfectly controlled. "We know she's with you. We know she's been involved in your organization for the past month. We'd like to speak with her. Voluntarily, of course. How did you get this number?" "We've been monitoring your operations for 6 months, Mr. Choi. We know a lot of things." Pause. "Here's what I'm offering. Ms. Hayes comes in, talks to us about what she's seen, and we make sure she gets home safely. No charges. Clean slate. And if she doesn't, then she becomes part of our investigation, and things get complicated for everyone." MJ looked at Kennedy. She shook her head. "She's not interested," MJ said. "That's her choice. But Mr. Choi, you should know. We're building a case, a big one. And when we're done, we're coming for you. If Ms. Hayes is still with you when that happens, she goes down too. Is that a threat? It's a reality check. She has 48 hours to contact us. After that, the offer expires." The line went dead. MJ set his phone down very carefully. Kennedy's mind was racing. The FBI, how did they... They've been watching for months, probably since before Han. This changes everything. What do we do? MJ was quiet for a long moment. Then he looked at her with an expression she'd never seen before. Not fear, not worry. Something colder. "We fight," he said quietly. "Against the FBI? Against international prosecutors? MJ, that's... I know what it is." He pulled out his phone, made a call. 3 sentences in Korean. Hung up. "What did you just do?" Kennedy asked. He looked at her. "I made a call I swore I'd never make. To people I promised myself I'd never contact again." "What people?" "The kind who make the FBI look like mall cops." He paused. "Kennedy, you need to understand something. The man you've been with these past weeks? The one who plays piano and reads to Minji? That's who I've been trying to be for 3 years." "What do you mean?" I mean before my brother died. Before I took over raising Minji, I was something else. Someone else. His voice went flat. They called me Ghost. Because people who came after me had a way of disappearing. Completely. No bodies. No evidence. Just gone. Kennedy felt ice in her veins. I walked away from that, MJ continued. For my brother, for Minji. I tried to be better, quieter, less extreme. He looked at her. But they want to put your face on international news. They threatened you. They made this personal. MJ, so I'm done being quiet. He moved closer. I need you to know what you're choosing to stay for. This won't be clean. It won't be neat. People are going to die. A lot of people. You can't fight the FBI. I'm not fighting them. I'm going to make them wish they'd never heard my name. His eyes had gone completely cold. They want a war? I'll give them a war. But not the kind they're expecting. Kennedy stared at him. This wasn't the man who held her at 2 a.m. This wasn't the man who read to Minji. This was something else entirely. What are you going to do? She whispered. Whatever it takes to keep you and Minji safe. He paused. Even if it means you end up hating me for it. From inside the house, they heard Minji call out, Uncle MJ, Kennedy, the news is showing something. They went inside. On the TV, a press conference, the prosecutor general standing at a podium. We are announcing formal charges against Choi Min-jun and his organization. International arrest warrants will be issued. We expect cooperation from our allies, including the United States, in apprehending those connected to this criminal enterprise. The camera flashed to a photo. Kennedy's photo. Her passport photo. We are also seeking Kennedy Hayes, a U.S. national, for questioning regarding her involvement with the Choi organization. Ms. Hayes, if you're watching this, we urge you to contact authorities immediately. Kennedy stared at her own face on national television. MJ grabbed the remote, turned it off. Silence. Then Minji quietly, Are they going to take you away? Kennedy knelt down. I don't know, sweetheart. Both of you? MJ knelt beside Kennedy. We're going to fight this, all of us together. What if we lose? Kennedy looked at MJ. He looked back at her. They both knew the answer. Kennedy's phone rang. Unknown number. She answered, hands shaking. Hello? Kennedy, it's Jasmine. What the hell is happening? Your face is on the news. The FBI came to your apartment. Your mom is freaking out. Where are you? I can't tell you. Are you safe? For now. Kennedy, please come home. Whatever this is, we'll figure it out, but you need to come home. Kennedy looked at MJ, at Minji, at the life she'd built in just over a month. I can't, Jazz. Not yet. Then when? I don't know. Kennedy hung up, looked at MJ. So what now? MJ stood, pulled her up with him. Now, he said quietly. Now they're going to learn why the families used to be afraid of me, why the Russians wouldn't touch Seoul for 5 years, why my brother begged me to stop being Ghost. He made another call. Kennedy couldn't understand the Korean, but she heard the tone, cold, precise, final. He hung up, looked at her. I need you to trust me, he said. Can you do that? Kennedy thought about everything she'd learned, everything she'd seen, the warehouse, the bodies, the blood on his hands that would never wash clean. She thought about Minji, about the promise she'd made. She thought about the fact that she loved this man despite, or maybe because of how terrifying he could be. Yes, she whispered. I trust you. He pulled her close, kissed her forehead. Then hold on, he said, because this is about to get very ugly. Outside, the mountain wind howled. Inside, they held each other in the dark, and somewhere in Seoul, a prosecutor was building a case. Somewhere in America, the FBI was preparing to move, and somewhere in the shadows, Ghost was waking up. The war wasn't over. It was just beginning. Kennedy made one call to Agent Morrison.
I'll cooperate. I'll tell you everything. But I have conditions.
MJ didn't know she'd made the call, and what she was about to do would either save them all or destroy everything.
Drop a comment. Should Kennedy have left when she had the chance? Should Kennedy have taken the FBI's deal and gone home? Or is she right to stay and fight? Subscribe now because part 2 is coming and you are not ready. Kennedy has to decide. Help MJ fight the prosecutor and risk becoming a wanted accomplice, or take Minji and run, leaving the man she loves behind to face prison. Or worse. And there's more twist. Someone from Kennedy's past is about to show up in Seoul. Someone who knows exactly what kind of trouble she's in. And they're bringing the FBI with them. Kennedy's mother gets involved. Minji makes a decision that changes everything. Someone comes back from the dead, and MJ's true identity, his past, and what he is truly capable of is revealed. And the big question: is Sua actually dead or just gone? Who was she, and who was she really working for? Someone's going to betray someone. Someone's going to sacrifice everything. And someone's not making it out of Seoul alive. Hit that subscribe button. You won't want to miss what happens next.